Hi there, Coach Alexa here. I'm going to talk a little bit about motivation. I think particularly at the moment with all these changes that are happening around COVID-19, motivation and losing your mojo with your running is definitely a topic that's coming up more and more with the runners that I talk to. So I thought I'd talk through a few different ways, perhaps to have a little bit of a pause and a think and see where that mojo might have got to and what to do about it. So firstly, a couple of questions. What do you most enjoy about running? And the second question is, if you think back to a time where you were really enjoying your running, loving your training, what was that time like? What were the runs like? What was the training like? Were there particular goals? And what was going on in life as well? So I think, our motivation, our mojo for running is not just a factor purely of the running training that we're doing. It's kind of all part and parcel of life as well. So have a little bit of a think about those two, because motivation and when that mojo goes a little bit AWOL, and how to get it back are quite personal things. So you need to have a think about those couple of questions. What do you enjoy about running, and what were the sort of themes, and how did it feel if you reflect back on a time where you were really enjoying your running training? I also find that specific sort of motivational factors do vary quite a bit person to person. So myself as an example, I am a very sort of completer finisher personality type. So, when I've worked in larger corporations and they do these kinds of, sort of personality testing, Myers-Briggs and, various other different models, I know that I always come out very strongly the sort of person that gets a huge amount of internal reward from getting stuff done. So if I want to make sure that I have completed a certain set of things to do in a day, I will write them on a list on a piece of paper, and I will get a huge amount of personal satisfaction from ticking them off that list. I mean, it's quite simple. It has its downsides as well, in that I've really struggled to switch off unless absolutely everything is off the list, which is intriguing. But from a running training point of view, for me, that means little things like keeping a training diary, printing it out, sticking it on the fridge or the wall, and literally ticking things off is actually really rewarding and really motivating. And I find that almost as rewarding and motivating as whatever end goal it might be that I'm working towards. So taking some time to think about that and what you find motivational, if you've ever had those sorts of assessments done in a work environment, that is quite handy, because often there's just information around the internet giving you some clues about what those motivating factors might be for you. General motivation, though, can be kind of composed from a few different things. So having a goal that is interesting and exciting and challenging enough. So it's not going to be a walk in a park that means that you just go, I can do that anyway. There's not really a lot of point in training for it. Versus, oh my goodness, I'm genuinely not sure I can even do that one. And everyone's got a balance point of what they find inspiring enough and motivating enough on that spectrum of challenge level. So have a little bit of a think about that. Using those sort of SMART goals. So, is it quite a specific goal? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Is it realistic? Have you got a time date on it? Is another good way of setting great goals that are motivating. Think about what the incentive is. So what do you get out of it? And, and again, it's an individual thing. So some runners are really motivated by the medals, by the posting of the photographs on social media, by that real sense of achievement. Some of it might be supporting their friends on their running journey, or it might be, that being able to look back and gradually see that improvement in fitness, or looking at the data of their runs and adding up how many miles they've done each month. And so there's lots of different motivating factors that you can tap into to incentivize yourself along the way, or big green tick through things on the training plan. Keeping a note and reflecting back can be a great way of seeing progress, even if you're not feeling it. So in many cases when runners come to me and, sort of say, oh, I'm just feeling a bit off the boil, can't quite be bothered with it this week. Actually, when we look back over their training, if they're feeling a bit stuck or that they've been plateauing, we can still reflect back over the last few months and demonstrate that progress is being made. And the other final things are to think about the bigger picture, not just the running training. So what works for you in terms of the number of days per week you run? How does that fit around life and family? What support do you have from your family and friends around your running? So that's a big part of the picture too. So have a little bit of a think about all of those things. It's a bit of an interesting one, isn't it, motivation? Because I think it varies a huge amount, person to person, individual to individual. We're all different. But hopefully that's given you a few ideas of things you can think about.